is speaking on a subject you and I both know firsthand about a disturbing, confusing, confounding, even dangerous aspect of our modern computerized world. Email, online shopping, membership sites, online sales and finance. They all want passwords, and password rules can differ widely. Thank goodness in the nick of time, our next speaker is an expert on the creation, storage, and management of computer passwords, something I know each and every one of us needs to know more about. Her 25 years plus in the computer support industry helped her develop this no-brainer management of your most important computer password policy. Her speech is a 15 to 20-minute speech from Toastmasters Advanced Technical Presentations Manual. Speech number 3, the non-technical audience. That would be us probably. The title of her seminar is We All Hate Computer Password Management. I'm sure you'll all be taking notes. I know I will be. Please give a heartfelt welcome to DTM, Distinguished Toastmaster, Qualified Speaker, and District 52 Public Relations Officer, Circe Denyer.
I'm going to do an official Toastmaster thing here. Linda, would you please evaluate me? Sure. Welcome, everyone. We all hate passwords. For one reason or another, we all hate them. But we know we have to use them. Because you can't get online and do anything unless you have a password for it. Even Toastmasters requires that you sign in and have a password. I support mostly people over the age of 70. So passwords are a challenge. I had one client tell me the other day, what am I going to use? She couldn't even think of a single word to start creating a password. So I know it's a challenge, and I know that we all hate them. But here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to make you start thinking about passwords in a way that's easy, a little more comfortable, and yet highly secure. Because if it's not secure, it doesn't matter what password you choose, it's not going to help you. Your password is the barrier between what you do online, who you are, and what they get. And there are very similar, very specific things that happen with our passwords that some of you may not know. And I'll be going over those too. But what I really want to do is I want to give you some information that you can walk away with, create really secure passwords without that terrible challenge. What am I going to use? There are some password rules. Never, ever, ever use your name, your birth date. Now the reason for that is because your name and your birth date actually can be found out about you by perfect strangers. So you don't want to use those. You don't want to use the word password in any format. And I'm going to go over a format that you think, oh, I can use that word, but I can change things. Never use that word at all. The other things are, you want to make sure that that word cannot be looked up in any dictionary. Merriam-Webster, a technical dictionary, no dictionary. Now, why is that? Passwords are hacked, not by people, but by machines. And machines are fed entire databases of words, real words. My name's in there somewhere, and my name's unusual. But words are put in these databases, and the machine, going so fast, goes through every word possible and guesses your password. Most people's email is hijacked, meaning their email address and their password is harvested and then used to send out email to their entire contact list every single day. It's mostly done in public internet locations. The most popular of those is the airport. Imagine this, you're traveling on business, you've got your laptop, the plane isn't ready to board yet, you get out your laptop and you start checking your email. You sign in. Name, password. In a public network, that transmission of typing goes from your laptop to the equipment that is providing you internet, and then out to the server that's providing your email. Those are called hops, and there are a lot of them in between. But think of it like a highway. You're driving down the highway and there's cross streets. Hackers' machines use those cross streets to grab the one piece of data that's unique to every single email, and that's the @ symbol. My name at yahoo.com. My name at AOL.com. The @ symbol's unique. We always have it. So it's very easy for a programmer who's writing a hacking program to harvest everything coming across that pathway, that public network that has an @ symbol, and then grab the very next piece of data. I was working for a client in Santa Monica, and it was Sunday morning, and I got an email from a woman I don't know. She is a client of my client, but I knew her name. And the email said something about buying Viagra online. Well, I knew instantly she was hijacked, that her email was hijacked, and my email address was part of it. I knew that because when I saw the subject of the email and I saw her name, they didn't match. They didn't go together. So I knew her email was hijacked, so I called my client. She said, yes, I got one too. She's in an airport getting ready to board a plane for New York. I said, you have to get a message to her right away. There's only one thing she has to do. She said, what's that? I said, change your password. Because until she changes her password, the person who grabbed her password in the airport can use her email address for just about anything. And all of her recipients picking up that email and not realizing, or picking it up and saying, hey, why are you sending this to me, are also being hijacked, because we don't know what the content of that email is, or if it contains any kind of component that infects our personal computers. So the password change would stop that right then, because the machine could no longer use that password, and unless she was still in the airport, it couldn't pick it up again. So passwords are our protection against those things happening. So if you ever hear someone, or you ever know somebody doing that, make a phone call, send them a separate email saying, you've been hijacked, change your password. I heard the other day from a tech who knows that if you change your password, you'll be okay. And maybe after today, you'll be able to tell them how to change those passwords. I've been in this business for 25 years. I have stood up in front of many, many groups and given talks about computer security. It's my passion. It's what I do. And I used to kind of do it a little different than I do it now. Now I have the benefit of 2 years of belonging to Toastmasters International. Toastmasters has 10 skills that they taught me at the very beginning, during my first year, to give the information that I had all along to audiences in a manner that was more well received. How to walk in front of the stage, how to project my voice loud enough, how to organize the speech so you get it. Hopefully today you will hear those skills behind the scenes in the information that I give you. And if you have any interest in Toastmasters at all, we have materials on the table over there, so you can find out about that. Besides the rules in passwords, most agencies, companies, and places you go online have their own rules about the password you need to create. Some of them have no rules at all. Interestingly enough, Toastmasters International does not have rules. You can have any password you want. And that means that their site does not believe it needs to be super secure. I developed a set of patterns for my passwords depending on the site that I have to use it for. I have super secure passwords. I have secure passwords. I have moderate passwords. And then I have a set of junk passwords. Now, junk passwords are for sites I don't care about. I only had to sign up to get the material for a download. I'm not going to use that site for anything else. But I match that to a junk email address. That email address I don't use for anything except those sites. It's a very good way to keep your junk off your regular email. Okay? Now, a super secure password is normally 8 characters long, at least. Longer the better. Longer it gets, harder it is to remember. One of those things about hating passwords. They're hard to remember, the more secure they are. So 8 characters at least. They want upper, lower case letters. They want numbers. And they want something called a symbol. Now, I can never assume, because I'm a geek from 25 years of computer work, I can never assume that people know what symbols are. But they come across the top of the keyboard. Some of them are familiar. We use them all the time, like the exclamation point. Some of them we never use in the English language, but we use it when we're using our email, like the @ symbol. There's one symbol you should never use in a password. I discovered it this last year, and I discovered it because it locked me out of my WordPress account. Above the number 6 is a symbol that looks like that. It's called a caret. For some reason, and I'm not a tech programmer, so I don't know why, but that caret sends a code to wherever you're going, and it doesn't work in a password, so just avoid that one. All the other ones work. Brackets, the ones that look like this, parentheses, all of them. The asterisk, they're all perfect. You can use them. The underscore, the dash. Did you know you can even use a space in a password? So, what I suggest to people is that you pick symbols that are your favorites, ones you can remember. Part of remembering passwords, part of not hating them, is to remember what you used in the password when you were creating it. So here's the deal. I suggest that you pick something that is familiar. And then you switch out for letters, symbols that are also familiar, but that you can trigger as letters. For the @ symbol, it could be an A. It can also be an O. You can switch out numbers for letters. The O is obvious. You can use a 0. But you can use a 1 for an L or an I. You can use an exclamation point for an I or an L. I know a lot of people who use the number 3 for the letter E. I know a lot of people who don't know what to do with the symbols. So on this handout that's over there, if you didn't get one, I have a bunch of suggestions on the one of the pages that tell you how you can swap out letters for symbols and how you can swap out letters for numbers. I'm hoping that that makes it easier for you. But I want to show you a couple examples that I use because I do something else that makes it easy to remember passwords. Because I have a ton of them. Lots of places I have to go and use passwords. And they're all different. But here's what I do. I take a phrase, something I like, that relates to the site that I'm going to. Okay? Let's try this. Okay, my phrase is I love Toastmasters, and I'm going to turn that into a super secret, super secure password without thinking. The first one is I'm going to use the letter I because I'm going to use it as a capital letter. Why do I do that? In some fonts, the I looks like an L. I can't tell the difference. Capital I usually does not. Okay? Then I'm going to do love. So I'm going to go L, 0, lowercase v and e. Okay, that's the first section. Then I'm going to repeat the tall T, 0, an @ symbol, lowercase m, capital A, $, T, lowercase t, E, R, S. I only needed one number, one capital, one lowercase, and one symbol to make it secret. This is easy for me to remember. I commonly will use a 0 instead of an O. I commonly will use an A instead of, an @ symbol instead of an A, and I will commonly use a $sign instead of an S. So in my mind, I don't have to think what my password would be for this phrase. But I don't use the same phrase for every site. I use different phrases for different sites. And you need to develop those phrases too, things that are meaningful to you. So if you are not at your own computer, and it's not saved in your computer, without looking it up and exposing your password to everybody else, you want to be able to think what it is. What did I do? What did I say? And create that. I recommend that you use phrases like that to start, and the ending is something else. So the password is different for each site, but the phrase is up here, familiar. Okay. That is really, really important. But now, sometimes, if you're like me, what was that phrase? Oh my God, I just changed it last week. How am I going to remember? And where do I keep track of these things? But it's not just the passwords. AOL and Gmail have a very unique, lovely habit. They ask you super secret questions, but they don't make you update those. So maybe in 1982 you answered those questions. And now it's 2013 or 2014, and suddenly your computer crashed. The saved password you had for all these years is gone, and AOL is saying, where did you get married? Did I answer the city? Did I answer the town? Okay, let's put this in. Van Nuys. Wrong. Van Nuys, California. Wrong. Capital Van Nuys. Wrong. And then you're online for an hour and a half, or you're calling someone like me to recover your password. What do? It's not so much that you can't remember your password, as you can't remember those questions. I had a client who paid me for an hour and a half worth of labor to uncover her Gmail password. And it took that long, me asking her questions, us going over things that might trigger what she could have answered in those questions. My suggestion is all analog. Store them. Write them down. Keep them somewhere. Put the site name and the questions you answered somewhere so that you can find them. You can also keep track of your passwords analog. You don't have to keep them in an electronic form. There are some places online that do it, but I'm going to go back to who I am. I support people who are over the age of 70. And I mentioned something about a piece of software to keep their passwords, and they glaze over. Oh, write it down? I know how to do that. I believe in the power of the pen and writing it down. The log can sit on the book, on the shelf. There's a small version of this you can put in a fire safe. Write it down. Whatever you do, if you write it down, don't store it on the computer. If it's a laptop and it's stolen, not only have they stolen your laptop, they've stolen every password you have. If you're like me, you might have 15 or 20 of them. And some of them are for places you don't want anybody to go. Investments, bank. The purpose that a hacker has, his life purpose, is to get to your bank account. It's not to get to your email to send to your friends. It's to get to your bank account. It is easier for a hacker to steal your ID and take money out of your bank account than it is for them to walk in a store and steal a candy bar off the shelf. Much easier. And they're not in your neighborhood. They're clear across the world. The internet makes them your next door neighbor. So, I have some information on this sheet as well for you. There is something called a password generator. So if you don't like using this, you can generate your own passwords from a couple of places. Norton has a really good site for that. They'll generate passwords. You tell them how many characters it needs to be, how many upper, what kind of pattern you want, and it generates one for you. Then you can write it down and you don't have to worry about it. It's right there. I have 3 pieces of information where you can electronically store your passwords, if that's the kind of, computer life you like. And I have suggestions for swapping out letters and symbols. Last but not least, I want you to go home today and change every password you have. Now, why do I tell you that? Because you probably haven't changed it in a long, long time. And I want you to segment them. I don't want you to use the same password you have for email in your bank. I don't want you to use the same password for email for anything else, because that's the portal where the hackers go. Mr. Toastmaster.